Craistrchurch, New Zealand, a city of transformation, a city of opportunity. Driven by a mission to create an open city that makes living better for the people in Craistrchurch, the City Council set up the Smart Craistrchurch program. Today we're fortunate to have with us Grace de Leon and Michael Healy, the lead Smart Craistrchurch program managers, to talk to us and share with us their insights and experiences. Grace and Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Let me dig into your backgrounds and your experiences of what got you interested in smart cities. Let's start with you, Michael.
Well, thinking back to my childhood in Ireland, I used to enjoy watching a program called Tomorrow's World, which was made by the BBC, and I was fascinated by the new technology that was kind of coming down the line, and a lot of the stuff that we take for granted now, I remember being featured on that program. And through my working career, I kind of gravitated towards areas where I had the ability to focus on process improvement, implement new ways of doing things, and there was a natural kind of lead into the Smart Cities program.
The change, technology and innovation drove your interest. What about you, Grace?
Well, mine was when I was working in the higher education industry, where we used to register for our courses using paper, and you have all the courses and you select it. And when I saw how that could be improved by using technology and making it more efficient, that for me inspired me to think about what else could be efficient. And for me, being smart means being efficient.
Okay, so technology and efficiency for you.
Yes.
Fantastic. So let's get into the Smart Craistrchurch program. What is the Smart Craistrchurch program, Michael?
So the program started just over 3 years ago. So Land Information New Zealand partnered up with NEC, who's a major technology provider, and provided some seed funding for smart cities programs in Christchurch, Auckland and Wellington. So that was the start of the program, and it was very much a technology first program. We had, NEC were a key partner. I think over the years we've kind of moved away from finding a piece of technology and then finding a solution for a use case for the technology, and more about understanding the community problems that we're trying to solve, and then interacting with the innovation community to say, hey, we've got this issue or an opportunity, what can we do about it? And then, getting universities, local startups, established companies throughout New Zealand to kind of come up with really good ideas and solutions.
So what was the role of the council in that context?
So the council sponsored and bought in to setting up the program initially, and after the initial funding was exhausted, the council funded it through rates, and we're now a budgeted part of council operations. So I suppose the key thing there was funding, but also support of the program and really sponsoring what we're doing.
Grace, how has the community lapped up this smart city agenda in Christchurch?
When you're trying to introduce, because for them, sometimes when you say smart city, it's all about technology, but really technology is just a tool that we use in order to make things more efficient, or life better. And so initially when you trot an idea to the community is like, oh no, we can't do that. Or just think about the parking, So the parking meters, when we say, oh, we're going to go cashless, the community just went, I don't have a credit card. I don't have a card I can use for that. So I just want to be in that regular, I drop the coin in the machine. It's all about telling them what benefits it will deliver and really helping them to embrace change.
So is there an awareness program of sorts to warm up the community to what is to come?
Yeah, well, we really use our existing communication channels well to tell the story and to engage with the community. To Grace's point, paint the picture about what's in it for the community. I can find a car park quicker. Let's say if you're developing a way to track graffiti offending across the city, our city streets can be cleaner and people's properties aren't vandalised. So you've really got to put your community hat on and think of it from a community perspective. Yeah. And as citizens of Christchurch, we benefit from the trials as well, and we have our own insight. But it's really important to continue that dialogue with the community to understand what problems they want solved, and then to make sure you've got things on track as well.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I think the way that our program operates is that we do trials. So we do it for a short period of time, and during that time we involve the community. And so if that trial is a fail or it didn't work, we all know why, and the community knows as well. The citizens have been involved. Like we have a project in New Brighton where when we installed those big belly bins, and the community were involved in picking up the rubbish around the area. And during that 6-month trial, they have seen that it has decreased once we have put the big belly bins there. So because they were involved in that particular trial, they became the champion of getting those solutions installed around the city.
From a strategic perspective, do you have a process in place whereby you call for ideas from the community, or you're actively identifying priority challenges for the year and the next few years? How does that process work?
Well, one of our ambitions has been to create an innovation hub where we could post the community challenges or the opportunities and then open it up to the innovation community. So that would be opening up to tertiary education institutions, opening up to maybe inventors in their garages. It could be startups, or it could be established companies that have been around. So we're very interested in having a space where anyone can come forward with ideas, and also creating a level playing field. Is hard to start your own business, especially in the technology space. There's a lot of obstacles to overcome. So we're really excited about kind of giving startups and different institutions opportunity to give us their ideas and approaches.
So let's get to the early successes. So since the program's been in place, what have been the early successes? And in getting to those successes, what have been the challenges?
Well, one of the challenges is that because we do all these rapid prototypes, they're all trials. So one of the projects that I had was the big belly bins. So the initial challenge with that was once the trial was over and we have presented the outcome of the trial to the business said, oh, it's expensive. They just look at the bottom line cost. But then if you look at the non-tangible benefits, such as you don't have to send the rubbish collectors about 14 to 21 times a week. Instead, you just do it once. That, in terms of carbon footprint and, the cost of getting there is a lot of savings to be made. And so for us, we find that later on, we just gave time to the business to think about it. And then later on, they actually adopted it. In fact, there are about 30 that's being rolled out in the city now.
Yeah, I think you're right. The key is to have the conversations early, talk to the business, understand the problems they're trying to solve, and then paint the picture of what the future would look like with a piece of technology or a different approach. So you've got to be clear about quantifying the benefits of that.
What other prototypes are in play at the moment?
Well, we've got some interesting work in the space of AI and machine learning. So we've got a couple of initiatives happening there. One of them is around taking the photos we get of graffiti from the public. So we get 20,000 photos coming into the council every year, and we generally pass it on to a contractor to remove. But we want to develop a way to analyse the photos using machine learning and work out where repeat offenders are operating in the city. And the plan would be then to work with community groups and the police to kind of intervene with offenders, have that conversation. We know that you're offending. Have you thought about getting into legitimate street art? Are there other activities you could divert your attention towards? So give offenders the chance to kind of redirect their energy into kind of more legitimate activities, and also reduce the amount of graffiti and the cost that comes with removing that. Another interesting one we're doing with AI is with the University of Canterbury. We've got a trial going on at the moment which uses LiDAR and cameras to analyse road surface. And so the plan there is by using the LiDAR and cameras, we can detect surface imperfections. So it could be cracking, it could be the early signs of a pothole, it could be bigger issues with that section of road. And again, the plan there is to detect issues earlier, so the public doesn't have to tell us about it, but also it becomes a lot cheaper and more efficient to fix a pothole when it's this size as opposed to this size. So again, they're interesting things using technology to have kind of good outcomes for the community.
Fantastic. And in the context of Smart City and Smart Christchurch, is the program benchmarking itself against other smart cities in New Zealand or globally?
Well, we wouldn't say benchmarking, but it's more, the Smart Craychurch program is all about collaboration. We would like to collaborate a lot. So all of the trials that we are doing, we're happy to share that with all the other councils. Not just here in New Zealand, we actually are willing to share it as well in other countries.
Yeah, we've been talking to Adelaide, for instance, this week about our website, and they wanted to see if they could, use aspects of that for their own website. And we've got a web app called SmartView, which we're very proud of, which is optimised for mobile devices, and we've got about 40 different data sets on that show a range of data to the public, and we're talking to a number of councils currently about creating their own versions of it. So I think replication of good ideas is key to the success of this program, and I suppose the wider Smart Cities program in New Zealand and Australasia.
Yeah, the more it's replicated, the more there is economy of scale, and the prices will go down. And that's the strategy that we are aiming for.
I mean, you touched on one of the key principles for the Smart Craychurch program, which is around replication and ensuring that there is take-up of these prototypes and technologies. One of the other key principles that I've come across is you believe innovation is moving too quickly to focus on perfection. So in that context, what's the next frontier for the Smart Craychurch program?
Well, I think going right back to our funding model, we're funded by the ratepayers of Christchurch currently. We're looking at ways where we could self-fund different revenue streams, different opportunities. So I think it's really important for the program to become self-sufficient or self-funding. So that's a major focus. But going back to collaboration as well, I think it's really important for New Zealand Inc. to approach kind of the smart city space as a collective. So a big focus of us this year will be working with Hamilton, Auckland, Wellington, and a range of other kind of towns and cities throughout New Zealand to see where we can kind of act as one, get smarter about how we collaborate and how we can kind of, again, replicate different solutions. So that'll be a big focus this year, I think.
Excellent. Grace and Michael, thank you for taking the time to talk to us and share with us your insights on the Smart Craychurch program.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.